What's going on, guys? Welcome to Rants Red Talk, where we discuss all the topics you send through to me on Twitter. And the pressure don't seem to be easing on Ollie, boy. It's getting very peak in the fan base, but I don't know. These things happen, guys. These things happen. As I said, like, what was I doing yesterday? Oh yeah, I was speaking to someone, and I was just like, literally, grassroots football and the United Stand football team is the football I look forward to the most now, bruv. Like, if you're a United fan, you don't look forward to games, you don't look forward to press conferences. The whole thing's a bit shit right now, guys. But do you know what I mean? You have to roll with these man through the good times and the shit times, bruv. Unfortunately, more recently, it's been a ton of shit times. But yeah, let's get into your questions. First one says Vivian CEO. Thoughts on some of the players' IQ level being so poor, not up to the levels that they can't understand the basics. Are they finished? It's just schoolboy stuff we're seeing. Also, I'm not backing Ollie because I don't think his coaching is of the elite level we need at the club. Firstly, yeah, there are a lot of players whose IQ levels are really low. But to be honest, in football in general, you kind of see that, bro. Like, to be completely honest with you, like, football it's usually like a lower working class sport. Do you know what I mean? The average footballer's general IQ ain't even that high, bro. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, good coaching, good coaching definitely helps with that. You get certain footballers that just have an innate understanding of football and they tend to be intelligent in general, bro. Like, I use the example of someone like a Frank Lampard or something like that. Frank Lampard's intelligent in real life, blood, not just on the football pitch, which is why he was able to pick up certain positions and like read the game as well. Some players are technically gifted, but some players are gifted up here. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that some players need their hands held. There's players like Chris Smalling, for instance, a very good physical defender. His defensive position is not amazing. He's very good at attacking the ball. He's got a very good pace in recovery. But then with a manager like LVG, who will literally tell you where to be, what to do, like before games, LVG had man standing in a formation and passing the ball across the box in the five that they were playing in the pitch. And I'm sure he would do that in training as well. And he drilled players into knowing when you get the ball here, you're going to step out. You're going to pass it here. You're going to pass it here. And some players literally need you to draw triangles and do patterns for them because they're too stupid to see something yet and do it. And players like Marcus Rashford and that fall into that category where they've got no footballing intelligence whatsoever. And you can have all the technical attributes in the world and physical attributes, but if you don't understand this game of football, you can only elevate to a certain level. That's just how it is. So I think at the top level you get found out, man. And I think that Ollie is just like, how can I put this? To be a coach, yeah, especially a coach with a very young team, you need to be very good at teaching, innit? Like, it's one thing being a manager who just picks the team and tells people what to do, but you have to be able to, almost like a teacher, you have to be able to put things in ways that other people can interpret it. Like, one language doesn't work for all types of players. Some people learn better in certain circumstances, etc., etc. One size don't fit all. And clearly, Marcus Rashford ain't learned nothing. Like, since post LVG, he hasn't improved. He hasn't developed his link-up play, his back-to-goal play, his movement, his positioning, because Jose's not the kind of manager that's going to develop you. It looks like Ollie's not doing the same. You could say the same for Andreas Pereira. He looks like a headless chicken. Chong looks like a headless chicken. Like, there's loads of players in the team. Now, even Dan James, yeah, a good player, but like, if you're honest, yeah, he's quite predictable. When he plays on the left, he'll try and cut in and shoot if he can. If not, he'll try and use his pace, push it down the outside and just play the ball in with his left foot. The left foot cross, he just pulls it across, bruv. Like there's no accuracy, there's no aiming. He just drills it across the box. It's literally like 9 times out of 10, he'll try and use his pace, but there's nothing clever about what he does. Do you see what I mean? And when you look throughout Manchester United's team, Martial's a clever player. Pogba's a clever player. Juan Mata is a clever player, but his legs have gone. That's it, really. Man ain't got no clever players. And that's just what it is. So when you don't have clever players, you need a coach that's going to drill. Repetition. And Ollie's not that guy, bruv. So because of that, you're seeing a lot of shit players being left to their own devices, which is the last thing you can do. So I completely agree with you. Ollie's not of elite level, and I'd get rid of him sooner rather than later. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys, about the lack of football IQ at the club. If you think I've missed any players out as well, but I don't think I have. All right, at MYK_visuals, do you think if United had less or limited resources, it would be run better as a club? In reference to Ajax, Leverkusen, Dortmund. If they had less resources, they would be run better as a club for the simple fact that the Glazers wouldn't have taken them over in the first place because there would have been no commercial incentive for them to do so. I think smaller clubs have to be more clever. They have to be more shrewd with how they spend their money. So they have to buy better players. They have to get better value for money in the market because it's important. They have to make sure that the facilities to develop better players are there because they're going to make a lot of their money from selling players. So I think all of these things are important. It's just like when you look at like really large companies or like businesses, startup businesses, a lot of them just end up throwing money down the toilet trying to do things because they got loads of investment and stuff like that right at the beginning. When they're startups, they can piss money away. Like, do you know what I mean? If they make a loss in the first year, they don't give a shit. Whereas with smaller companies, there's finer margins, bruv. Like, even if it's £200-300, if it's your own company, you can't afford to lose £200-300 if you're a small business, because if you're constantly losing £200-300 over the year, you're losing thousands, bruv. Like, it's long. Do you know what I mean? So with Manchester United, I think definitely the magnitude of the club means they've been getting away with being run so poorly and still thriving because they're able to throw money at the situation and just buy better players. Because the way Manchester United's run, they shouldn't even be in the Premier League. When you look at lack of director of football, like the level of coaching at the moment, clearly the physios and the physical team they can't be all that, bruv, with all the players that are getting injured. There's so many different things wrong at the club. They're not run like a Premier League club. That's a very good question. Let me know if you think I've missed anything, guys. Next one, it just says hashtag Woodward out, 100. Will the comeback of Martial, Pogba and Wan-Bissaka save Ollie's job? I'm going to give you an honest answer. I hope not, bruv, because that would only be papering over the cracks, the obvious cracks. You know when people say that football fans are too reactionary? Sometimes we are. But what I would say is, if Wan-Bissaka, Paul Pogba and Martial come back and all of a sudden United's form turns and they win 5 games in a row, let's not forget the start that Ollie had and then the run that he's had, bruv. Just because we go on a run of 3 or 4 games, like wins and that doesn't mean that we've turned the corner and we're back, bro. The cracks are still there. Ollie's still a shit coach. The brand of football's still not good enough. We still fucking drew with Alkmaar. We still fucking nearly lost to Rochdale. These things still happened. We can't overlook these things. So the worst thing we could do is let like a little change of form like cloud what's happened, because it's very obvious that Ollie's out of his depth and he's not the right man for the job. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. At MH15312. Give me a breakdown about our squad. How many would you keep and who? And how many would you let go and who are they? Yo, thanks for the feedback. I will try and get rid of the numbers at the end. All right. So for me, obviously David De Gea. It depends on how you're asking the question. What I would say is, how many players do I think are good enough to start for Manchester United? I'd say De Gea, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Martial, Pogba. That's it. That's 5 men. Really, like if Manchester United are at the required level, like challenging for a Premier League, I think only them 5 men are in the team. If you're talking about if I was the manager now and I had to work with like what I had, then and looking towards the future, I'd say Rashford could still be a squad player, but would have to coach him how to play the fucking game. I think Tuanzebe as well has got a bright future, so he's definitely a very good option. I think he could potentially be a starting 11 Manchester United team of the top level. I think he's got the potential to be a very, very, very good centre back. Right now, he's just promise, but for me, he's better than Lindelof. Even Lindelof as well would be a good squad player. He's good to have, bro. Victor Lindelof can play centre back. He can play right over free as well. He's young. He's technically good. I would happily have Victor Lindelof as one of my 4 centre backs. Better him than Phil Jones. I think Jesse Lingard as well. I think in the right system, Jesse Lingard actually looks good. Like when you see him play for England, he looks like 10 times the player he is at Manchester United. The thing is with Jesse, yeah, Jesse's not technically very gifted, but he's got good energy. He plays the little 1-touch, 2-touch move, and he's got good movement like off the ball. Like he'll play the ball like 1-2 and he'll keep going and he'll stretch the play in that. But he needs good players around him. Jesse's the kind of player where if there's not a good system and good players around him, he can look shit because individually he's not that good. He's not that good. So he doesn't have the individual brilliance. Like when the team aren't playing well, Jesse's not going to fucking take the game by the scruff of the neck and win it for you. He's not. But if you put him around decent players, like you'll be surprised what he can do, bro. There's no surprise when man keeps saying, oh, how come Jesse plays like this for England? Better players around him and a better system and a better coach. Same goes for Rashford as well. As much as I don't rate him and I think he's brain dead, I think if a coach got hold of him like a Louis van Gaal, yeah, and literally says, I just want you to do this. Same with what Pep has done with Raheem Sterling. Is like, these are the positions I want you to take up off the ball. And Pep's reprogrammed him. I believe that Rashford could be a useful squad player. I never think that he'd be good enough to start for Man United, but he's got the physical attributes, the pace, do you know what I mean? He's strong enough. He can strike the ball well. Obviously, his shooting's hit and miss, but he's got enough attributes to his game that if you fix this, there's at least a squad player in there. There's at least. So I think that those players, like, yeah, potentially, and Fred as well. A lot of men don't like Fred, but again, I think that Fred in the right system is a useful player to have around, bro, because he's both-footed, he's quick, and he's positive. He tries to pass forward. He's tenacious. Yeah, he gives the ball away quite a bit, but to be honest, the movement in front of him is piss poor anyway, bro. So I can't really read too much into that because people say he gives away the ball too much, yeah. But if he was passing the ball sideways and backwards and trying to play it safe, people would say that he doesn't pass forward. So what's man to do? Now, Pogba gives the ball away way more than he would in a team that has runners around him. When he plays for France, you don't see Pogba getting caught on the ball in the halfway line and trying to do Cruyff turns and hold on to it because there's fuck all going on in front of him. Because he's got Mbappe and Griezmann and that man running in front of him. So I think that you have to look at the overall shape or lack of attacking structure and say a lot of players are being let down by the system and the players around them. All right, let me know who else who else you would keep, bruv. It's easier that than saying who would you let go, bruv, because it's most of the team. At the 4th_ape, you saw the report that Old Trafford doesn't even meet FIFA standard. Is that a sign of the club's failings and inability to revolutionise? Of course it is. Like, what you got to look at is, yeah, look at the difference between Manchester United and Manchester City. The difference between Man United and Man City are that the City owners are football fans and they want to be successful. The Manchester United owners don't even come to games. They're not football fans. They are fans of money. And Manchester United is a cash cow to them. So all they want to do is they want to put in as little money as possible and extract as much money as possible. Old Trafford, like, honestly, as much as it's an amazing stadium from the outside, you see it, the historical, like, every time you go to it, you feel the aura. But inside it, bruv, fucking shit, really. Like, do you know what I mean? It's needed a good... I was at the new camp the other day. Like, Old Trafford's needed a touch-up for a while. So I'm not surprised. Why would they invest money in a stadium that they're never in? They don't care. Like, I mean, they don't treat Old Trafford like their baby, like they're supposed to. If this is something you own, you're supposed to want it to be in great nick. Like, the Etihad, how have man come in, yeah, and built a brand new stadium for Man City? A brand new one, you know? And these man can't even revamp our stadium with all the money that's being made. All they've done is they've put in a few stands, disabled stands and stuff like that, just so they could get more people in the stadium and make more money. That's all it was. Like, nothing to do with touching it up. So to be completely honest, like, the failings of the club, yeah, off the pitch and in the stadium, it just reflects what's going on the pitch and also with the lack of director of football. So none of this is surprising, guys. We're being run by absolute fucking leeches. Next one, at Ibis Flex. Why are some fans saying give Ollie time because we don't have class players? Don't you think a manager that can't win against Rochdale, RZ, Astana and Newcastle comfortably with this squad can't do very well in Europe and the league with better players because man is tactically inept? Absolutely, bruv. Let's not ever get it twisted, yeah? This is the conversation I was having yesterday with Nathan Ellington, yeah? He's a United fan as well. Used to play for Wigan and that with Jason Roberts. And fam, like, I said to him, I was like, there's nothing about what Ollie's doing that inspires me to think, you know what? If I give him better players, he'll get better results. Because there's no pattern of play. There's no tactical nous. And also, he's playing players out of position. So, if I give you better players, how do I know you're even going to use them correctly, bruv? There's so many things about what Ollie's doing here that doesn't inspire me to give him any more money. None whatsoever. Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Like, it's really that simple, isn't it? So, for me, this whole give Ollie time thing is coming from people that either don't have a lot of knowledge of football in general in terms of the tactical sense, or they're not really football fans at all. They're just Manchester United fans. And that's all it is. And that just means that you're saying this thing from here instead of from here. Because I'll always stress that I'm a football fan before I'm a Manchester United fan. Because if I didn't like football, I wouldn't support Manchester United, bruv. Like, I'm not from Manchester. Like, if I wasn't a football fan, I wouldn't even support a football team, bruv. Because what's the point? Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas a lot of the guys that support Manchester United because it's like a religion where they come from, they don't support the club for the same reason I support the club. That's okay. But then, you're not going to support the club the way I support the club. There's not one way to support a football club. There's not, innit? Like, I'm a football fan first. So, like, I'll be watching games and tweeting and people will be like, oh, you're a plastic. What, because I'm rating a Liverpool player, so I'm a plastic, bruv? No, I'm not a plastic. I'm a football fan. Do you know what I'm saying? If you want to just support Manchester United, only watch Manchester United, only rate Manchester United players, you're not a football fan, innit? You're not a football fan. So don't call yourself a football fan and don't call other people plastics because they actually know what they're fucking watching instead of just supporting a badge blindly, innit? So, look, with all that said, there's no arguments for keeping Ollie in the job. Like, there's no coherent arguments. Like, everyone that knows anything about football has seen enough to know that Ollie's out of his fucking depth, man. And if you genuinely believe that Ollie can turn it around based on his record at AZ Alkmaar, I mean, that Alkmaar game's burning me, bruv. If you think that Ollie can turn it around based on his record at Cardiff and based at his fucking shitty league win at Mulder, bruv, then you're wishing on a fucking star, bruv. Next one, S_Akiyama4646. Who would you consider as manager? Poch, Blanc, or Nagelsmann? You know what it is, yeah? Take Laurent Blanc out the occasion because I don't want him. Either of the two would do. Poch would be my number one choice because he always has been, even before Ollie Solskjaer. And I believe that Poch has shown that he understands the Premier League. He can do it in the Premier League. My only reservation with foreign managers that haven't managed in the Prem, especially if they're not like elite. And when I mean elite, I mean like your Carlo Ancelottis, Like, even you have to say that Jurgen Klopp getting to Champions League final, winning the Bundesliga, you'd have to say that man's proved that he's up there with the elite. He's definitely an elite manager now, but I mean, when he came into Liverpool, he was up there with the elite based on what he'd done. I just worry because stylistically, certain leagues are just different, man. You can do it some places, you can't do it in others. And I think we saw that with LVG. I think LVG's coaching in any other country would have been enough to keep him in a job because he'd done some good things at Manchester United. But with the Premier League, I just think that it's just a lot more difficult, brother. Like, it's the one league in football that is like nowhere else. Like, if you can play in Spain, you can play in Italy, you can play in France, you can play in Germany. But I don't mean you could play in England, blood. You can ask Alexis Sanchez later on in his career. You can ask fucking Henrik Mkhitaryan. You can ask Diego Forlan. You can ask all these men that have come to England, yeah, and bugged out, bruv. And them man look like worldies in other countries. There's too many examples of men that have come to England and flop. English football's just like nothing else. It's just like driving a whip in Europe and driving a whip in England, bruv. Them man are driving on the right hand side of the road, and then you come to England, you're on the left, bro. Like, it's all different. And that's what our football's like. So, as much as I like the look of the Leipzig manager, yeah, and I think he's very tactically good. He's got a good philosophy. He's also got a good scouting system with Paul Mitchell as the DOF. I don't know how that translates to the Premier League. So because of that, I probably wouldn't take a gamble, and I would just go for Pochettino because you know what you get. Let me know what you think, though. This says Christian J, actor. Which near-miss transfer hurt the most out of Ronaldinho and Robin? Also, what impact do you think either signing would have had on the team for the next couple of years after signing? For me, anyone that knows me or has watched me for long enough knows that Ronaldinho is my favourite player ever. That Ronaldinho transfer broke my heart, bruv. Like, in terms of my experiences as a Manchester United fan, that's the worst one, bro. Like, and it will be forever because he was my favourite player. Even when I was still playing myself, I used to watch videos of him on the team bus on the way to my games and stuff. Like, I used to have the YouTube videos and that. Like, he was literally the guy that I looked up to as a player. And it was heartbreaking seeing, like, me watching him at PSG, and then he's linked with Manchester United. They're like 25 million red run and that. Like, it was done, bro. Like, they were making it out like it was sealed. And you know, back in the day, when you were a young football fan, you used to wake up and go straight to the back pages of the Mirror, back pages of all these other things, yeah. Before you knew about politics and all that, man would go on the back page of the fucking Daily Mirror. You'd go on the back page of the News of the World, all these things, yeah. And you would just be like, yo, what's going on? That was where we got our football news from. Before Sky Sports was really popping, Sky Sports News, and before Twitter was about where man could really, like, see journalists, we used to just look on the back page of newspapers. And then man was sure Ronaldinho was coming, and I was so gassed, bro. And then when it didn't happen, I was broken, bruv. Luckily, we got CR7, like, instead to kind of make up for it. But, like, for me, if we'd got Ronaldinho at the time, fam, that's probably another Champions League to add to the ones that we already have. I'm going to be real. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. What was a near miss for you that fucking broke it for you? Iron Robin was a cold player as well, can't lie. When Peter Kenyon left us and fucked us over, yeah, and took our transfer plans to Chelsea, that was something else. At Mr. Mac's son, do you think Fred can only operate well in non-Premier League games? He played well in the Champions League and Europa League, but the speed and physicality of the Premier League seems to get him flustered. Bruv, you're definitely onto something. But also, I think the lack of movement and structure around him means, yeah, that because obviously you don't have as much time on the ball, so naturally, like, if you procrastinate on the ball in the Premier League, you're getting nabbed in it. Someone's taking it from you. And that's just what it is. Like, the difference is Pogba's got, like, the physical strength to kind of put his foot over the ball, hold a man off, turn, and take the extra time. Whereas Fred physically ain't got that. So, like, when he's put under pressure, a lot of the time he will get the ball nicked off him, or he'll be rushed into a pass. But I think if the movement around him is better, I think he can get away with it. I think that if he put Fred in Liverpool or Man City or something like that, he honestly wouldn't look like the player he looks at Manchester United. I'm not going to give up on Fred as a footballer because I see a lot of potential, bro. I see the technique there. Like I see the tenacity and I see the potential, bro. Like he's a good player. He's a good player. As I've said, you don't fucking get into the Brazil national squad. Like Brazil have like hundreds of quality footballers. So for you to get into that 20-man squad, you have to have something about you, innit? So I'm still not going to give up on Fred. I can't read your Twitter handle. It's all mad. It says lack of English players in the starting 11 of top English clubs. All English final, both European competitions last year. Are foreigners making the league better at the expense of domestic homegrown talent? Think these politics play into United becoming Brexit FC? Bro, like it is a tough one, innit? Because like I remember an interview with Joe Cole, and Joe Cole was saying how much easier it was when he break into the Premier League. There are a lot more English people. There was a lot less competition from foreigners, etc., etc. Obviously now, to be English and to break through into the Premier League, you have to be exceptional most of the time, unless there's some sort of politics that gets you involved. I do think that it is making the league better at the expense of homegrown talent. Of course it is. But at the same time, it means that the homegrown talent that do make it through are going to be better, if that makes sense. Are you with me? Because think about it. If it was easier to make it to the Premier League, it means our national team would be shitter, bruv. Because they'll be playing with shitter players in training. They'll have shitter players to get past to get there. There'll be no incentive to improve. And then what's your benchmark? Do you know what I mean? Like, for instance, if the Premier League's full of mediocre English players that are at this level, you only need to be at this level to make the Premier League, or even just this level to make the first team if you're a young player. But if the level of the team's up here because of the foreigners, if you make it up here to make it in the first team, that means if all the English players in our national team are up here, we would have been down here, bruv. So naturally, our national team's better. So you have to look at it in two ways. Yes, it means less English players will make it through, but it means the ones that do will be better, which is beneficial for the national team in the long run. So I can see both sides to the argument 100%. 100%. It's a very good question. Last one, but not least. I can't read your Twitter and handle either, bro. Do you think Marcus Rashford, the striker, has lost all his striking instincts? What few he had, in brackets, because he was constantly played out wide under Jose, or do you believe that he didn't have any to start with? I know he didn't have any to start with, bro. Marcus Rashford's journey through the Manchester United youth team, as I said many times, he wasn't a striker. He wasn't prolific. He wasn't known as being a prolific striker. You see the way now we're in this time where we know about Angel Gomez. People are saying start Angel. People know about Mason. People are saying start Mason. Before LVG brought Marcus Rashford through, how many of you, man, was saying, yo, like, why don't we play Rashford? Rashford should be on the bench. Like, oh, there's this kid Rashford coming through. Bruv, no one had heard of him, bruv. Because he weren't doing shit in the reserves. He was just another player that got given a chance, bruv. Like, Will Keane was ahead of him. Like, that's just what it was. Marcus Rashford got his chance at a time where he probably, if he never got the push from LVG at the time that he did, he probably would have gone out on loan and never come back, bruv. Like, I'm going to be real, because that's the level he's at. Like, he would have probably gone out on loan. Like, Jesse went out on loan like 4 times, and then LVG gave him his break. But there's a possibility that if LVG didn't give Jesse his break either, and sent him back out on loan again, but maybe Jesse would have gone out on loan and never come back as well. Like, I'm going to be real. Like, a lot of these United youngsters do need to go out on loan. They're not going out on loan. So with the whole Rashford thing, I don't think he lost striker's instinct. He never had it. Like, striker's instinct is something you don't lose. Even when you lose pace, when you get injured, Michael Owen's a prime example. He was a pacey striker, He got injured. He had to adapt his game to be more of a box player. And it didn't really affect his goal record because he had that attacking striker's instinct. Marcus Rashford's never had that. You watch him in a game, yeah, he gets sucked in towards the ball so much. All the time. Always getting pulled in towards the ball. How many times have you seen the ball about to get crossed and Rashford's on the edge of the box, bruv, trying to receive it short to feet when he should be darting and making a near post run or peeling off to the back post or maybe coming in, stepping back, losing the defender, changing the angle. When you're a striker, they always teach you like make one run for the centre back, then make another run for yourself. Little things like that. You'll see Harry Kane do them clever things. Cristiano Ronaldo does it brilliantly. Well, he'll make a run for the centre back, and then he'll peel off to the back post, tap in and that. That's what real strikers do. Rashford ain't got that in his locker. So for me, he was never a striker. He never had attacking instinct. And if I'm the manager, I'm turning him into a right winger. I'm not playing him on the left because he likes to cut in and do these Hollywood balls and smash them over the bar. I'll play him on the right hand side so he can take people down the line with his pace, put in crosses. Or if he cuts inside, I know he can't shoot with his left, so he'll pass the ball and he'll use it more economically and stop doing them stupid wild shots, bruv. Because man hasn't scored a goal in open play in quite a long time, bruv. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the Chelsea game was the last goal that he scored in open play, bruv. And that was the first game of the season. That's all mad right now. That's all mad. So for me, he's not a striker. I think he can make a decent right winger because he can go down the outside. His crossing isn't great, but again, if he just drills it across the box, man can get tap-ins and that. And he likes to run and dribble at people one-on-one and do tricks. So, like, his makeup tells you that he's a winger, bruv. He's just, I wouldn't play him on the left. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Guys, thanks again for all your questions. Smash that like button. That was your Rants Red Talk. Make sure you follow me up on the socials at Rants and Bants on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, it's been emotional. A few lot been asking me where Total Football is. Don't worry, that's coming back. Man's been busy sorting out a few things. But yeah, that's definitely gonna come back. Big up for all your questions and just your interaction, man. Like, it's been emotional as usual, and man, will catch you in a bit.